So, hi everybody, great to be with you. So we're excited to share some really interesting research and trends information that we've been working on for some months. We hope you find it interesting and value adding. Okay, so over the past few years, many of you would have heard us talk about our focus on products and information that help you create modern homes. We also know that more and more Australians want a modern looking home, and this continues to grow. We know that thousands of Australians are unaware of the transformation possibilities that cladding affords. And at James Hardie, our ambition is to educate Australian homeowners and trade on how exterior cladding products can deliver the modern home they desire. To help with this, over the past year or so, we embarked on an unprecedented research journey to understand the changing needs of Australians and New Zealanders. In particular, we want to marry these insights with the evolving trends in contemporary home design to see how these needs are driving changes in the design landscape. To that end, we engaged a third-party agency, 555, to conduct an extensive piece of research looking at the factors influencing Australians today and how that translates to the way we live. In particular, we used cutting-edge AI technology to analyse imagery and text at scale to understand and cluster their meaning. So that meant we looked at over 28,000 posts from over 200 design-related Instagram accounts, plus over 1,300 individual design resources were analysed. As further clarification, we then spoke to a range of industry experts in 2-hour interviews to evaluate our findings. And ultimately, what this did was help us identify current and emerging design styles and expressions, enabling us to not only decode current popular home styles, but navigate where there's been design hybridization, so where trends are merging with each other, and also demonstrate the future trajectory of the home design. So what is here now versus what's sort of, growing in popularity. The wealth of insights and what we've done with those insights is what I'll talk to you about today. So firstly, you can't truly understand what's happening in the trend space before you consider global and local factors affecting the world we live in. From a global perspective, a confluence of widespread factors, including COVID, political instability, inflation, and supply chain issues, has driven a preference of local over global. Technological disruption over the next few years will affect our jobs and our lives. Adapting to climate change means there will likely be a greater global focus on creating climate-resilient homes. In some cases, entire suburbs or regions will need to move due to extreme weather events and their effect. A global generational power shift will occur in the next 5 to 10 years. The silent generation, the baby boomers, currently hold the majority of wealth and power globally. However, this will naturally transition to younger generations. From a local perspective, there's a number of key aspects affecting our lives. Socially or locally, we're seeing social norms evolving. Our aging population has created a demand for evolved housing, as more than 25% of the population are over 65 years old. And interestingly, couple families, so 2 adults without children, are projected to become the most common family type in Australia over the next 5 years. The cost of living and differing cultural influences has led people to embrace
Hi, how are you?
multi-generational living, with 20% of Australians now living in multi-generational households. Despite a pushback to the office, over 53% of Australians are working from home, so home offices are being prioritised and upgraded. Diversity, equity and inclusion are becoming the standard in Australia, as Gen Z are the most racially and ethnically diverse generation in history. Technology has allowed design to become democratized through Instagram and other social platforms that showcase all aspects of home design. So get used to homeowners feeling like they're the designer. I know that caused absolute horror to the building designer community. This also means trends can catch on quickly and also change just as quickly. Advances in building technology are set to disrupt the building industry, such as 3D printing, as well as virtual reality and design visualization tools. Environmentally, climate change concerns see us reconnecting with nature while also needing more resilient buildings. Passive house design is growing. You know, 7-star is the norm now. And then from an economic perspective, no one is immune to the impacts of the rises to the cost of living. And this has tempered the home improvement boom that happened alongside the pandemic. Building materials and labour costs rose at their fastest pace in almost 50 years due to supply constraints. However, the growth in renovating hobbycraft and thrifted home decor continues to rise. So now we have all these social, technological, economic, environmental, and political factors. We can find meaning in the behaviours and macro trends we are seeing in the research. So these drivers and macro trends are influencing the way Australians want to live and in turn the homes that they want to build. So the result of the findings is what we've called the James Hardie Modern Forecast 2024. Oops. Come on. Whoops. Now let me just quickly play this video.
Hello, I'm Neil Whittaker. Throughout my career, I've seen James Hardie revolutionise the way we design, renovate and build homes. Beyond their exterior cladding solutions, James Hardie's commitment to great design goes way further. James Hardie commissioned an extensive study into the direction of modern home design. The James Hardie Modern Homes Forecast is the result of this unprecedented research. This wealth of information was used to identify 7 home styles. Each home perfectly articulates the way we want to live. If you or your clients are planning an extension, renovation, or new build, the Modern Homes Forecast will be an invaluable tool on your journey. It's time to build your modern life. It's possible with James Hardie.
Thanks, Neil. So this wealth of information was used to identify 7 modern home styles designed to suit our modern lives. Some of them are not necessarily new, but an iteration of existing styles, and some are emerging with considerable growth trajectory expected. They include the popular box modern and modern coastal styles, the enduring styles of modern heritage and mid-century modern, and the rapidly emerging modern farmhouse, barn, and Japandi homes. So in order to achieve our objective of inspiring and informing homeowners and trade to confidently create their dream modern home, we've developed 3 distinct streams of content. So we launched, at the end of February, we launched the Modern Homes Forecast, which I'm talking to you about today. That summarises the research findings and identifies the 7 modern home styles that best facilitate the homes that Australians want. I've touched on the information today, but there's much more information in that. And then each month, we're releasing a design handbook that goes with the style. And we've used experts in that style to curate tips, materials, paint colours, and interior finishes to finish off that style. So we've already launched Modern Farmhouse. This week we launched Modern Heritage, and we'll be launching one each month. And then finally, we brought together key technical information and trade case studies for each style through our trade platform, My Hardies, to direct you to valuable how-to information when creating that look. So I'm very conscious of time, but I'm going to fly through the styles. I mean, I'm sure you're across many of them. So firstly, Modern Farmhouse, which is gaining significant traction here in Australia. A seamless balance of traditional design and contemporary elements. The Modern Farmhouse references classic architecture with a focus on clean lines, open space, and materiality. The design features of this style is that sort of typical farmhouse-inspired architecture, contrasting materials, a neutral colour palette, and those pane windows, often the black windows. We've also, for each style, just suggested what we would say are the most appropriate James Hardie cladding for each of the styles. What comes with the handbook with each of the styles, it's not just about cladding, but also we've put together a palette of materials and textures that go along with every style. And obviously, despite the fact we're a company who makes fibre cement, every single one of our products is painted, and colour is therefore intrinsically linked with our products. So almost every social media post we put up, somebody asked about the colour palette. So we couldn't do the forecast without giving guidance on colour. So we've consulted Dulux, Taubmans and Wattle and got their equivalent colour names just to connect with the colour palette that the expert has suggested. And it's impossible to truly inspire around a style and not consider the additional elements that would complete the look. So here's a taster of what you would get in each of the handbooks. Also, each handbook explores the variations we found on the look. So in this case, Farmhouse Ranch and Hampton's Farmhouse. And here's just a few examples of houses that have popped up since we did the forecast. Further making us believe we're on the right track with the research. So modern heritage, essentially this is a typical renovation style. The modern heritage architectural style elevates the traditional home through sensitive restoration or bold renovation, with contrast as the defining element. Tends to be a range of roof styles, often using cladding on the exterior, contrasting features between that sort of old and new, plus maximize natural light. And just this week, we've launched the Modern Heritage Handbook, and that just gives you a flavour of the kind of information that's in that. And so box modern, we all know it as a popular style. The box modern style is characterised by large blocks or cube-shaped volumes that are stacked, intersecting, or arranged to form compelling contemporary residences. Often with a hidden roof line, bold exterior, achromatic colour palette, and geometric shapes. And then Japandi is an emerging style. Japandi really brings together that best elements of the Scandinavian style and Japanese minimalism in a hybrid architectural style, resulting in a simple and elegant home. Minimalist architecture, a natural look exterior, earthy colour palette, and indoor-outdoor connection is what defines the Japandi style. And then barn, I'm sure there's lots of different sort of expressions of the barn, but it's really an emerging style and an evolution of what we would have recently have referred to as Scandi barn, but it's just changing a little bit from that initial sort of Nordic minimalism, and it's got a little bit more American farmhouse in it now, and really boasts warmth and craftsmanship, hard to say, and an affinity with nature. Key design features for this one is a steeply pitched roof around 35 to 45 degrees, that sort of detailed exterior that comes through the vertical and horizontal lines, the barn shape, and large windows. And then modern coastal, which, I'm sure is well known and loved by everyone. Modern coastal is really a popular style that is evolving. Inspired by the relaxed Australian beach heritage, modern coastal style offers a contemporary take on traditional coastal design with laid-back spaces, modern minimalism, and crisp white weatherboards. Once a favourite in the hotter states and coastal towns, modern coastal is really being adopted broadly into the suburbs with no beach in sight. And this style tends to have a range of roof lines. Weatherboard in our case, the linear weatherboard is dominant in this style. A light color palette and that importance placed on indoor-outdoor connection is very much a feature. And then finally, my favorite, mid-century modern, is an enduring style and needs no introduction. However, the new modern take on mid-century has all the existing hallmarks with a contemporary twist, with its emphasis on practicality and functionality, mid-century modern is seeing a huge resurgence. And reimagined for 21st century living, the classic style balances contemporary minimalism with the finesse, intelligence, and spirit of mid-century modern architecture. Again, there tends to be a flat or gently sloped sort of skillion roof, exposed structure, dominant roof line, and large windows. How am I going? As previously mentioned, it's not only our intention to inspire, but also to educate and guide the actual creation of these homes. We've recently relaunched our Maya Hardy's platform as a mobile-first, web-based portal for designers and builders. Based on years of research and designed to benefit your business, the new Maya Hardy's has time-saving tools you need to help design these projects. So when you log on to My Hardy's, you'll see a modern forecast section. And what we've tried to do for each of the styles is direct you to important sort of technical information, BIM content, etc., that you would need for that style, as well as some trade case studies. And that is it. And what I've done is just put a couple of QR codes if you'd like to download the forecast or to access My Hardy's, but essentially you can go onto the James Hardie homepage and access the modern forecast information there.
Thank you very much, Carly.
No worries, Kirsten.
Hello, look, I'm Kirsty and I'm your host for today. We just had some technical issues prior to that. We've got a couple of questions coming through now on the chat.
Yeah.
One's coming in from Chad. It's a question about thermal performance of these different styles. It'd be interesting to have a look at whether particular styles can meet the thermal performance requirements easier than others. Do you have any comments on that?
No, but I can just show you one thing that we have done around that. Let me just work this out here. Oh, I hate this sound. If you go to James Hardie, oops, should have prepared for this. James Hardie. So what we've been doing around 7-star is just giving you a guide. So if you go to our technical library in this sustainability section, what we've done is created a design card. So if you see, let's just open a Melbourne barn efficiency. So the idea of these design cards is saying, all right, if you're looking at all the levers you've got when creating 7-star homes, what would be good, better, and better, good, better, best in this style that you could sort of dial up or down to try to achieve that 7-star. So maybe that's a good place to start, just in terms of exploring that space. But I think, to be honest with you, the conversations we've been having is that, I mean, every style will have benefits or drawbacks depending on what state and what climate you're in. So it's a bit of a complex one.
Look, those sheets look like a great resource. So perhaps we can share that link in the chat so that people can look that up for themselves. So that looks great. Another question that's come in is asked about curves. I noticed that all the buildings are very sort of square looking, and no doubt that fits the James Hardie product.
Yes.
Any comments on fashionability of curves at the moment?
Yeah, it did come through a little bit. Yeah, it's a good question. Because we've sort of discussed that in terms of curves and arches. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I suppose from a James Hardie perspective, there is some product that you can slightly curve.
Yep. So which of your product would be usable for curves?
I think there is some. I'm just trying to remember what was it? Was it Axon? Can you actually? I have seen. It's a tough one. I'd have to get back to you, because obviously with some of our products are boards, so then you can slightly move. Like, is it Axon? Yeah. I mean, I have seen Axon, even though that Axon's a panel, you can slightly curve it, and you can create a curve. It's an interesting point. I can't remember in the research there being like a dominant thing about curves, but I do acknowledge that we are seeing lots more curves in buildings. Obviously a little bit difficult with all of James Hardie product, but that's a fair call. Yeah, I might just look back on the research after this, but I don't think it was a dominant thing, but I'm sure if you're seeing it, the chances are then there is definitely a trend.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Do we have some further questions? Actually, we have an answer that's come through, which has told us that a 5.5 minimum radius for the axon cladding. So
there you go. Thank you.
There we go.
Thanks, Sean. Also, I know that there's been, just in terms of colour, so Mark has asked, does painting a product black or dark avoid its manufacturer's warranty? And that's no. Where that's a good thing about fibre cement. You can paint it black and with no fear of cracking, etc. But obviously we've got this big issue with colour. There's still a demand and a trend of darker colours, but obviously, in certain climates probably doesn't make sense to go that dark route. So it does come up. I'm not sure if there's an easy answer in terms of colour either. But I mean, I suppose from a trend perspective, though, it's still very much we're seeing, black houses, white houses and everything in between. So I'm not sure that there's a push to lighter colour homes just yet. I mean, everyone still loves a dark like cladding or monument or whatever. But maybe in our future research, so we're planning on doing this every year. So the good thing will be next year we'll have a benchmark, and we'll see what has evolved in the styles.
So in terms of that, how can designers best use this information and all these resources that you've got together? What's their best way to sort of use and access all of that?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of different things. I think from the Modern Homes Forecast, so if you download that, that's got all the interesting information about just the changes in family demographics and, the macro trends and what people are wanting. So it's just, I suppose it's the intricacies of that research that might, if you're talking to your clients, it gives you a language to speak about their potential future needs and how homes need to evolve over time. So that's more the demographic stuff. In terms of the handbooks, what we do find, well, I often get feedback from building designers that, it's just a very annoying process with clients, being very definite about what they want and changing their minds or not being able to articulate exactly what they're seeing and what they want. So what the handbooks are supposed to do is really hone a client's sort of mind into, yes, this is the style, and yes, I can see these are all the things that link to that style, and it gives you at least a place to start from. Obviously, people are coming in with their Pinterest boards, etc. When they're briefing, but hopefully this helps with that process. So it's probably good if people come into you and are like, oh, I think I want this style of home. It's like, well, here's a start. Here's 7 distinct styles and what their features are. And it might just send them down a route, which helps you as a designer and hopefully saves you some time in that process.
I like that idea, the idea of trying to help clients to articulate what they want, but they just don't perhaps have the design language to say that.
Exactly. And look, we've done loads of research on this, and it's really sad to know that there's a whole lot of people that end up getting through that whole process and are not really happy with what because they probably were confused, especially if they haven't used a building designer, I must say. Obviously, building designers have a role in kind of articulating all of those thoughts. But yeah, it's just taking, I suppose, in the past, we've been very focused on the styles and the product, but having the forecast and having all of the steep drivers, so the sociological, technological, economic, etc. drivers really helps to give people an understanding of kind of the world that we're living in today and kind of what's going to drive the future of design.
In terms of looking at some of those trends, are you finding that there's a shift away from the more sort of render product into more sort of sheet cladding? Is that something you're finding?
There is still render. I mean, as much as I'd like to say no, you sort of get a split because there is kind of in the styles that we did, we initially had 36 and we've whittled them down to 7. And that's because I suppose there was a lot of styles coming through that were very, very aspirational, you know, like concrete bunker type style homes and that kind of thing. So there's still obviously a lot of concrete and, you know, different materials being used, etc. But what we found was in this sort of attainable space, you're still going to get a bit of render. I mean, we would hope that, you know, some of the James Hardie products are now starting to replace render, just because through our like brushed concrete product and Hardie fine texture cladding, you can create a render look, but you've got minimal trades, you know, it's quicker, cost effective, etc. So I guess, I mean, it's a good time for us in terms of our type of product, because the cost of building is so high. So people are looking to save money and time on products, and we have a range of products that can do a lot of different looks. So I guess, yeah, so if the render look's not going away, but it's how you achieve it is probably changing.
Well, Carly, that sounds like some really interesting research and some great resources that you've put together. So I'm sure a lot of our members will be having a look at that. Look, thank you very much for joining us today.
No worries. I might just put some, would you like me to put some links into the chat or Q&A maybe?
Absolutely love you too. We've had some questions about that, and I assume that they were just going to be coming up at some point in time. But yeah, certainly some links to those resources would be really helpful.
Okay, I'll quickly do that.
Fantastic. Look, thank you very much.
In the Q&A or in the chat?
I think that the chat...
no, the chat's closed.
The chat may not be working today, so it looks like we've got Q&A only.
Okay, Q&A done. All right.
So unless the back end can help us get the chat working again, it looks like it'll have to go in the Q&A.
No worries, I'll do that.
All right, fantastic. Now, our second speaker for today is Deborah Dijon, who is a long-term friend of the BDAA. We have you there, Deborah?
Yes, you certainly do. How are you?
Deborah is a seasoned leader and consultant with experience working in a range of business operations, having partnered in the foundation of fantastic furniture. From concept to a multi-million-dollar organisation, Deborah knows the importance of putting people before numbers to build a successful enterprise. As an interior designer for over 30 years, the combination of retail experience and interior psychology have allowed her to become a successful advisor and designer to residential, retail and commercial sectors. Deborah is now the New South Wales manager for Sitara Australia. Sitara supplies the Australian retail, designer and commercial markets with a range of high quality, handcrafted indoor and outdoor furniture and home worlds inspired by natural materials and global trends. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Deborah, and she'll be discussing designing for behaviour. Look forward to hearing that.
So I just want to today talk about the company that I'm currently representing, which is Sitara, which is an indoor-outdoor decor residential commercial custom project space. More importantly than anything else today, I'd love to get across that we have a new showroom in Sydney. It's in 12B32 rather, Ralph Street, Alexandria, and I'm here. I would love to see you. So today, I don't want to preach to you. What I do want to do is share with you some of the things that are happening in my world. Some of you will know myself from the BDAA and things that we've done collaboratively together, and loved working with them. And it's so good to be back doing stuff with you guys. But Kelly Vandermeer and I, Kelly is Design Partnership and Coop overseas, are shooting a documentary around behavioural design. And so keep an eye out for that. We're very excited about what that might look like for later in the year. I'm just going to move you down a wee bit. Here we go, so I can see you better. There we go. So the question is...
That's all right. You might also just want to change your slideshow. Sorry, you might just want to change your slideshow to the presentation view. We're currently seeing the presenter view.
Look, I do beg your pardon. See, this is what happens when you're rushed. Looking. You should have actually just been on presenter view. Sorry, on slideshow view.
Yep. So yeah.
Display settings. There we go. No, taskbar might be the way to go. I'm lost.
That's all right. We can still see the presentation. We just get a little preview of your next slide.
Oh, that's okay. Not a problem at all. So,
All right.
look, the end of the day, are we shaped by our behavior, or is our behavior shaped by our environment? This is the question as designers. There's a little image here that I want to share with you, and to see how you feel. On the left-hand side, we have a very cool climate. On the right-hand side, a very warm climate. And yet both of these are subject to how we feel and how emotive we are in this space. So how are you feeling? You might want to pop in the chat. I'm going to open the chat here also and see how you are feeling about these spaces. How does it make you feel? I mean, most of us were in Easter mode over the weekend and sharing our time with family and friends. And how did you feel in those environments? Did you want to stay longer periods of time and linger? Because the weight of a chair and how we spend our time with family will determine how successful the event is. Designing for behavior, the two differences between designing for behavior and behavioral design is this. Designing for behavior, I'll give you Toys R Us as an illustration. Toys R Us based the template for the Toys R Us model within Australia on the basis that people drive on the right-hand side and peel off to the right. In fact, in Australia, we drive to the left-hand side and peel off to the left. So the question is, how successful is a venture that's based on a template that works in an international market? They found that Australians walked into the store and walked straight into the cash register and then ping-ponged their way around the store until they made it to checkout, where they didn't close a sale. They mirror reversed the floor plan and they found that they increased the sales by 70%. So our environment will change our behavior. That is designing for behavior. Behavioral design is you automatically fit into one of four categories, and that is goal setter, lifestyle, stability, and information. And we all need to live differently in our environments. We don't live in the same sort of environment, which as designers makes it very difficult to take briefs and make homes work, easier for a larger space. So let's have a look at some spaces. This would be a goal setter space. Now, goal setter would be masculine energy, heavier, darker furniture. As you can see, it's a beautiful tropical environment. This one was Byron Bay, but it lends itself to a strength of character. Tell me which ones you're more attracted to. This is also a goal setter, and goal setters want to showcase their opulence. They want to showcase their success. They want to showcase that they've lived a very successful life and built successful ventures. They're fast-paced and results-focused. So the way that you specify for a goal setter is very different than any other temperament. And understanding your client is important. On the left, we have backed chairs that have security, that again, dark timber, dark leather. It gives us a glimpse into how a masculine energy might work in the space. Could almost be Raffles in Singapore. And you'd spec that for successful business precinct rather than a younger demographic. And here again, we're looking at the Di Castello design at Harkaway. You know, it's an opulence and an elegance, but also a simplicity, but they're showcasing their wealth. This is the way that we spec for a designer, for a goal setter. And then we come to the lifestyle. So if you fit into any of these molds, or over the weekend managed to fit into any of these molds, this is all about high chroma colors. It's all about lifestyle. Our lifestyle temperament wants to move around the tables. It wants to be gregarious. It wants to fit in. And of course, we've got high chroma colors and lighter timber. It's all about lifestyle and energy, high energy. These are our extroverts. Also in color again and texture, we love movement and texture. Some of you would be thinking, oh dear, just give me something neutral, while others are saying, wow, the sassiness of these colors in a tropical environment would make it more conducive to communicating. And here again, texture. This is Anantara Resort in Mozambique. It's invitational. It's got height and depth and layers and roundness of furniture and structure, but also texture. All about tactility in the lifestyle temperament. Another one, we're looking at high and low seating, where the lifestyle temperament can move around. They can sit and stay for an extended period of time, but they can also sit at the bar and then get up and join other friends. So depending on temperament will determine which furniture you specify for. The Las Palmas, Palm Beach, Queensland. Again, there's room to move. There's a lightness, but there's also colour and hue and texture in the space. So this is the lifestyle temperament. We're looking for movement. Here, well, it is also like an aged care. This is the Blue Heath at the Bower. We need to also give our aged care facilities and places of elderly a place where they can go and relax. So, the seating needs to be comfortable. We need the right height for arms that you can push yourself up. We don't want to diminish them into a very sterile environment, but give them a relaxed and comfortable environment. This would also be a lifestyle temperament for the elderly. And again, your colour and movement again. So that's your lifestyle. This is another temperament yet again. This is the stability. Stability likes a calmness. They like organic features. They like a relaxed space. They don't like deep structure. There's always tomorrow with our stability temperaments. This biophilia is important for them. So they like a little bit of greenery. They like curves. And again, we've got height and depth in this one. We've got higher and lower seating. We've got backs against us as well. So, it's all about the relaxation, and there's always tomorrow with this sort of temperament. I don't know who you've got in your world with clients who need that spec. Again, we've got biophilia, which is involved. So it's invitational and makes you want to come and relax. Again, it softens the hues with the branches in the space, the curve of the back. This is in Greece, the Casa Cook. And, this is a temperament that causes you to want to take time and relax. They're more of our introvert. They're less of our goal setters. They're more of our relaxed temperament. And then we come to our information. Now, our information temperament is all about clean lines, keeping it easy, keeping it neutral, keeping it clean, keeping it uncluttered. And you need to be able to spec furniture for anything from Mrs. Smith, the one residence, at home with her husband in Sydney, to, Dubai, where you're specifying for corporations and multi-res corporations. And all of these temperaments need to live in a certain environment. And it's a challenge navigating how they live. It's easier for a private residence, but specking for say if we were doing a hotel, you've got a spec for all of those people in those spaces. So you need to be able to juggle it with wisdom when you're specifying. Again, a private residence, Byron Bay, and it's just a lovely simplicity for the information temperament. Here we have lovely clean lines and a little bit of a warmer hue in our chairs. So it takes the edge away from the hardness of the marble and just softens it with the warmer hues of the timber. And again, we've got here a little bit of timber. That previous one was 3 birds. And again, it just softens the edges of the bench. The next one is a goal setter and information together. This is Die Henschel and it's custom fabrics. So as you can see, there's opulence there and it looks elegant. It's formal, but there's also the intimacy that an information temperament needs, which is clean lines. Embracing the outdoor-indoor lifestyle. Most of you over the Easter period would have had a time where you had times with family and friends. We're so grateful that we had such beautiful weather. I don't know where you are in Australia, but hopefully you had great weather for the day. I know that Melbourne was raining. And we need to be able to bring the outdoors in. We've got a housing crisis at the moment. So we need to bring nature inside or take our indoor living outside. And we get the opportunity to do that. This is the 5 acres accommodation in Phillip Island. Now, this is a large format digital print, and they've put it outside so they can bring the forestry into the city. This is what we do for commercial settings. And again, large format digital print, we'd love to bring nature back into the CBD or greening built structures. Maybe you're not speccing for that. Maybe you're speccing for the residential. So how do we bring the biophilia and biomimicry and health and well-being into the space? By bringing those soft corners, by bringing that timber, by bringing the softness of edge, by bringing the texture. This is the Avri Imperial in the Greek islands. The softness of texture of the chairs, the roundness and the Danish cord on the back of the chairs is the softness. So we can actually all bring that biophilia and biomimicry back into the residential. The curves on the chairs in Byron Bay here, this lovely timber elements. And again, I'm bringing no surprises there to the curved of the table. You're bringing the softness indoors, outdoors, and mimicking indoors out, so it brings both. We're looking at the softness of the timber floor against the coolness of the ceiling. And these are all things that we can be doing for our clients to give them a lifestyle that is bringing relaxation and wellness and well-being. A hardness of environment, which could be seen as coal, is softened very simply by the stools. This would be great for an information temperament because they love clean and order, but you've softened it with a little bit of timber. The Greek islands, again, is very simple and elegant, but you've got texture there that you're gleaning from. And so it goes on. The 13-beat lodges in Torquay, and again, aged care. We have all of these things available for you. So whether it's the Greek islands or to the Club Cronulla that you're speccing, we'd love to be able to be of assistance for you. Again, for those of you that know me, I've been in the industry a very long time. My ex-husband and I started Fantastic Furniture. I don't have a stick of that in my house, by the way. No offense, fantastic. But, you know, we get a chance now to do the study, upgrade our skills, and to be working with the likes of these sort of corporations. Happy to help you to come up with solutions for your clients. Again, the most important thing that I want to say is I'm back in the industry to bring empowerment for you and to help you come to assistance with your clients. We will be doing industry days, and I want to extend an invitation for you to join us in Alexandria. It's 12B 32 Ralph Street, Alexandria, and we will be doing an event. Love you to come to that. I'll pop it in the chats. It's Callie Vandermeer and myself speaking to behavioural design, from designing for behaviour to behavioural analytics and design, and making it easier for you to understand your clients, to be able to find solutions for your clients, and also to be able to sell to your clients, because it's a juggling game of all three. That's me, Kirsty. I'll pop those details in the chat.
Fantastic. Look, thank you very much for that, Deborah. And just in terms of the chat, we now have that working, and we have those links to the James Hardie Modern Homes forecast and their technical library details. So Carly was mentioning those. They are now in the chat. So now's your opportunity to have ask Deborah any questions that you have. Look, I'm just going to start off with my question, which is, look, in preparation for today, I had a little look at the Sitara website and went through some of the products that were available. I have to say, I noticed that there tended to be quite a muted sort of colour palette. And I noticed that you mentioned in some of the behavioural stuff that sometimes there were brights, but in looking at the overall general trend of what was available there was quite a lot of sort of involvement of natural materials, but there was also very much sort of muted colours. So as someone who owns several green couches and loves a bit of bright colour, where have all the bright colours gone, and where does that sit in terms of the current trends with interiors at the moment?
It's at the end of the day, I think I go back to this myself time and again. I don't necessarily follow trends. What I look to is people and temperaments. And you know, sometimes we put that outfit on that has got nothing to do with trends, and we look fantastic knowing that we love that colour green or that outfit. And I think the same is true for interiors. There's no wrong choices, because when you shut the doors, that's your world. And if you want to put fuchsia on your lounge suites that makes you feel good, then knock yourself out. And our clients do have some peculiar tastes and desires to make the space work that sometimes you have to massage just a little. But in terms of the Sitara range, yes, we do have colours. The chroma things would probably be more in the accessories. So our cushions, so that like the little black dress, we can wear that and change the scarf and the shoes and the handbag and the belt and the jacket and make it a totally different outfit. So the foundation pieces do tend to be more classic or neutral, and then they can be, you know, highlighted with your accessories, your cushions, your throws. But we've got some fabulous mossy greens and beautiful colours in our. We've got a lovely terracotta chaise lounge that triplicates into a lay down lounge and seating. So we do have colours, yes, despite what may look like that on the website.
I have to admit that you got so much on that site there. I wasn't able to go through all the categories, but I did have a little search through. So a couple of questions are coming through now. One of them is asking about whether Sitara is only available in Sydney or also in other states.
No, actually the head office is in Melbourne, and they have a very large flagship in Melbourne. There's also a showroom in every state, but Sydney has just opened the week before last. So we've had a presence here, but we've got our own flagship and showroom here now. So I'd love to see you. Come on in and touch. Look, we're tactile beings. You know, at the end of the day, we want to touch, feel, and see. It's not a matter of seeing in a picture and purchasing, as unlike the pair of shoes that we've seen that we think we can get away with. Furniture is an expensive item to invest in. So we want to actually see the weight and sit in it and feel it. So no, it's beyond Sydney, if that's the question.
Because in terms of that, interiors I find are very personal to clients. While certainly they can take recommendations from designers, so a designer's able to bring their clients into your showroom as well.
We actually have RRP on the labels so that you can do exactly that. And there is limited parking on street, but if you use the number on the website and give me a call, I can create a couple of spaces for you so you can come and park with your client. And again, it's all about you bringing them in. You're being the designer. We're not the designers. We're just here to support you. And yeah, love to welcome you in.
In terms of then looking at things from that behavioural perspective that you were discussing, how could you sort of tell where your client sits on that?
Well, look, it's for me, I'm two things by trade. One is an interior designer, the other one is a human behavioral analyst. So for me, it's just a natural, organic knowing. But for others, there are learned skills, and I can help with some of those skills to give you an opportunity. There's four fundamental temperaments. One is goal setter, which is fast-paced, results-focused. The other fast-paced, relationship focus is lifestyle. So this is our gregarious, outgoing person. This is our I want to kill the world and do it tomorrow person. Down here we have information, which is slower paced, and they are more detail oriented, so they're more results focused. And then there is stability. They are more slower paced but relationship focused. And it's understanding these four equal temperaments. You will over time get to know your clients. And the thing is, it's really, I'm not saying it's easy to design. It's great to design. It's harder to sell your design. But if you understand your client, you sell them the way they need to hear the sale. So you can say, imagine sitting in this place with your friends with a glass of wine and, you know, and you're looking out at the green, and you can sell that to a goal setter. Whereas like, imagine your friends over here for dinner and we can have this barbecue and we can enjoy, you know, and we just take our time. And then the stability, you're selling it to them. Imagine how relaxing this space will be with, you know, jazz music in the background, and you're selling to the information. Imagine the quiet and solitude and, you know, the elegance of this space. You sell that space totally different. So, you know, and it's all about the sale for us. Everybody's selling something.
So what do we do as designers when we've got a couple and they've got very different personalities? How do we approach that situation?
Yes, we sell differently. And I would like to make a joke about Goldie Hawn and her husband living across the road and deciding to be in separate houses. That would be the ideal scenario. So you've got two homes to deck out. But you create spaces for people within their homes that they both feel is unique to them. So, for example, an information temperament likes to read. So you'll sell it to them with, here's a little nook that you can come and just read a book, right? That becomes their space or a corner of their space. If it's a goal setter and they've got a home office, you know, you can shut the door here and get on with your work. That becomes their space. So even within a home where you've got four different temperaments, they've got somewhere they can go to be themselves wholly and solely.
We have a comment online in relation to the four elements being a little bit like horoscopes or Chinese animals. Are they asking if that's all sort of connected?
Look, it's more psychometric testing. So your psychometric testing is, and I don't know what you've used over HR over years, but fundamentally it's personality profiling and psychometrically testing you, because you will have what I call a design DNA. Fundamentally, you will be attracted to. Oh no! Look, here's the question. It's not horoscopes, but it's like this. So you can tell me yourself. Sarong and thongs. I'm asking a question for you.
Yes.
Kirsty, sarong and thongs or suited and booted?
Oh, can I say neither?
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
The theatre or picnic?
Picnic.
Okay, so these are questions you already know the answers to because you live it every day. And what we've got to do is find out from our clients, what lifestyle do they want? Do they want that elegant, glamorous lifestyle, or do they want that casual, laid-back lifestyle? So no, it's not horoscope, it's more psychometric testing, but it gets easy with time.
That sounds great. Just in terms of the actual sort of products, have you looked at, when you're looking at the products you're choosing, what would happen at the end of the life of those products? In other words, are the materials recyclable? Can things be reused? Is that something you considered in selecting your products?
Yeah, just to go back a step, there's a 3-year warranty with residential and 2 with commercial. But what they do with the plastics, that they create the plastics and some of the fibers from recycled furniture to do the weaves for the back of chairs again. So the majority of the furniture is made in Indonesia, and they're all about the upcycle. So they'll redo the tops of tables. It's just a matter of not disposing of, but recreating. So in answer to your question, yes, they can be repurposed, and they've got FSC rating, and obviously a lot of this is created in Indonesia, so it's created outdoors to survive the climate. So it's got a lot of longevity, but when it does come to the end of its life, it's not the end of its life. It can be redone.
Well, thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you for joining us today and with your interesting presentation. And thank
pleasure.
you to all our members who've joined us for the national online meeting. I would like to extend a really huge thank you to Jennifer Binns, who is stepping down as host after being the host of the BDAA national online meetings since its inception in the depth of the COVID-19 lockdowns. So Jen, you've done a fantastic job, and I'm honoured to be able to take over the reins. So look, the online meetings have been a great opportunity for members who might not be able to get to regular chapter meetings to be able to keep up with the latest with what's happening in the association and the industry. However, it's been great now that we have the opportunity to get along to the chapter meetings in 2024 and have the opportunity to talk in person and discuss local issues with members in your area. So I do recommend that you get out and support the in-person meetings, as well as regularly coming along to our online chapter meeting. And we look forward to seeing you again on the first Tuesday of the month next month. Thank you very much.